A little while back, I built up my dream hardtail for winter riding, and today we're gonna go take it out on the trail to see what it rides like. There's some cool stuff going on with this bike. Go watch the video where I build it up for the full specs and everything. We got a rigid fork, 29 by 3.0s, 8-speed micro shift, P&W coast dropper with some bounce in it. Now, Arkansas winter is pretty mild compared to most people in the world, so my needs will be different than yours. So your winter hardtail probably won't look quite like this. Let's go hit the trail, see what this thing rides like. You're gonna hear me talk about tire pressure a ton today, because that's my suspension on this bike, running a rigid fork. We are at 10 PSI front, 10.5 rear, and I'm gonna be playing with it through the ride. When you're running big tires like this, 1 PSI makes a huge difference. The other day I was talking to Jeff Jones on the phone. We were talking about rigid hardtails. Jeff's a fan of the big plus tires like me. I wish more companies made 29 by 3.0 capable bikes, because it is so special. I've also got a +2 angle set on this frame. So we're at 67-degree head angle right now. Boy, there's something to be said for a simple bike. Less maintenance for the winter. It's really fun hearing from all of you what your winters are like and what the ideal bike is for where you live. But some of you in the UK that ride a lot of muck said you go narrower tires to cut down through the mud into the bottom, and that makes a lot of sense. I think this P&W coast dropper was the right choice. I need to add a little bit more air. It's activating a little more than I'm used to. Wow, so much traction with these big old tires. You really have to go wide rims on big tires, or you lose all the benefits and you roll and squirm. But if you got wide rims, these are 45i, they will support those 10 PSI pressures that you run at this without it rolling. This bike handles so well. This is really fun. It kind of has that simplicity of a hardtail taken to the next level. Surprisingly easy to ride. Super impressed with this micro shift Acolyte. It's 8-speed wide range, 11 to 46. It's $20 for the shifter, $30 for the derailleur, and $30 for the cassette. And it shifts great. Really, really impressed. Yeah, a little bit of that chattery stuff's a little harder to ride with the rigid, but I just need to hone my technique. I don't really know how to describe it other than it feels more hardtail-y than a regular hardtail. Those of you that ride rigid a lot know what I'm talking about. It's got a really nice raw feel, kind of like single speed. I think this bike single speed would really get that simple bike feel. Oh, so fun. This Maniak is so versatile, especially when you pop that +2 head angle in there, it becomes a cross-country trail machine. Yeah, I just feel a little more connected to the ground riding rigid. All right, I'm at 10 PSI. I'm gonna go down to 9. These tires are so soft. Oh man, that's so soft. Down to 9 in the back. And 9 in front. And a lot of people are gonna think, well, wouldn't that be so squirmy? With the wide rim, it really isn't. It's almost like you change the rebound characteristics of the tire with your pressure. Oh man, that's even more cushiony. It doesn't get the self-steer that you get with a fat tire bike. Yeah, 29 by 3.0 is just special. Too bad it was never given a fair chance. I'll be riding this more when there's snow on the ground, letting you know what that's like. But today we're just getting a feel for the bike. I know some of you, your winters consist of 4 feet of snow on the ground. Others of you can ride like this year round. I'd love to hear from you what your favorite setup is and what your winters are like. Oh, this is a dream, man. The difference between 9 and 10 is incredible. I think if you're riding big, hard enduro stuff and you're just flying off of jumps, 29 by 3.0s probably aren't for you. And that's what most companies' advertising looks like, is shredding. For those of you that have had a Trek Stash or a Krampus or a Jones or some of these other special 29 by 3.0 bikes, you know what I'm talking about. What a great ride experience. This is way less harsh on the body than I thought. I'm not on the world's chunkiest trail, but it's doing really well right now. All right, this is a low traction move. Oh man, I forgot how good this Maniak climbs tech. Right up it. I've never done a winter specific build, and to be honest, all my bikes can be ridden in the winter. But the idea behind this was low maintenance, no fork seals, no suspension pivots to maintain in the slop. What I think I love most about this setup is it kind of reminds me to enjoy the ride and not turn it into a race course or a shred fest, and just enjoy nature. Changes the attitude of the rider when you have a simple machine like this. I'm not used to zero rebound of a fork springing me back up into manuals and stuff. I gotta pull it up differently, so my manual timing is way off. I am seriously impressed with this micro shift. Flawless. I'm gonna be running it on more bikes. I wish they made a little bit lighter cassette. Just zero issues with it. I like that it's a short cage too. I like that it's cheap. I like the range. It's just a good setup. I'm liking my 160 cranks right now. Got that similar feel to fat bikes, how they kind of erase the small things on the trail. Except the handle's like a mountain bike, and you don't feel the tires fighting your handling and steering. I feel like on my fat bikes, I've got a little more self-steer and they just feel bigger. I gotta be on my game a little bit more. It steers really well because the geo's not changing. Pretty fun. Until you've run super low pressures with a wide rim, you don't know what you're missing. And that's what I had in mind when I designed this bike, was total versatility. You don't have to run it plus. It's a great 29er too. All right, so it's not bad for small bumps. How does it do in big chunky stuff? A little bit bouncier, but I'm not fighting it. That's fun. Very cool. Fun new challenge. Can't just slam into things as much as before. It's pretty cool that the jumps between gears are a little bit bigger than the 12 speed. I think this would be a downside on touring or a headwind, where you just need a slightly different gear. But for trail riding, I'm a fan. Yeah, this bike feels light and zippy. I've said it before, if I can only have one hardtail, it's the Maniak. So versatile and so much fun. So I'm having to use my human suspension a little more to track the ground. It's just like the difference between riding full suspended and hardtail in the back, but now you're doing it in the front too. In Sedona, this would be brutal. Just goes to show that every terrain and every locale has different needs. So the ideal bike for me in one place may not be in another. If you ever want to pick my brain, I've ridden in over 25 states. I've ridden and reviewed over 100 different hardtails. And I've ridden a whole bunch of full suspensions off the channel as well. And if you want help picking your next bike, I'd be happy to help with that. I do that over on Patreon. Oh, okay, nosies are fun on a rigid. There's no moment of delay like with a suspension fork. You just instantly pitch like a trials bike. That was cool. My first couple mountain bikes were all rigid in the 90s. Man, technology has come a long, long way. Yeah, this coast dropper post was the right call too. It's allowing me to stay seated without getting bounced around. What a cool setup. I may have to leave it like this after winter. All right, I have a feeling this will be really good in the techie trialsy climbs. I need to make sure not to pinch flat. Need to be careful, especially in the rear. I think I'm gonna have to be on my game a little more, have the perfect gears. Man, traction won't be a problem. Let's see. This will be interesting. What the chuck? Oh man, you can just tractor up stuff because the grip is so unreal. I also feel like not only is the grip unreal, but the bike's real precise. I don't have any movement or geo changes from suspension other than like a little bit of tire movement. Does have a little bit of a trials bike feel to it. Oh, that went way better than I expected. Hang on, I gotta concentrate here. Man, that thing tractors. I've ridden so many hardtails in so many different configurations that I know pretty much what I want to a T. And that's what my signature bikes are. They won't be ideal for everybody, but man, I just click with them. If you like the hardtail feeling and you feel like you're overbiked, try a rigid fork. It'll make your boring trails exciting again. Try a +2 angle set as well. This is another one of those things that on paper and in theory it should not be as fun as it is. Kind of like riding a hardtail or riding a single speed. People think before they try it, I would never do that. That's not fun. That just sounds like the worst of everything. Some of us think that way about rigids, and it depends on where you ride. But adding a rigid fork to this really made it feel more raw, more connected to the trail. My brain was more engaged reading the trail. And these tires, super, super low pressure, did amazing. A lot of people think you need super meaty tires. When they're down to 9 PSI, you sure don't. I'd love to hear what you guys learned. If you want bike consultation service, that's over on Patreon. If you need geometry help, I've got a whole course into understanding bike design theory and geometry and how the angles work into how a bike plays. Thanks for all the support, guys. You guys are awesome. There's a party in the mountains and you're invited.